do our salad, we have to start with mixed greens. We want to do mixed greens because you can't see it from here, but I have a chart here that I keep in the kitchen. It goes through all of the different minerals and vitamins that the human body needs. It talks about the proteins, the fats, such and such. It has these columns, and it's colorful, and it tells you the colors correspond to the types of foods that they're talking about. Each column, it tells you what food groups, what items would give you the best B12. Right here for B12, under vitamins, you see fortified products, soy milk, you see cereals, you see margarine, you see nutritional yeast. Yay, that's the only one that we're eating in that group. Then over here for vitamin D, you see a picture of the sunlight. And then you see fortified cereals, soy milk, margarine. Under vitamin E, it says olive oil, tomatoes, avocados, apples, carrots. So it gives you all of this. However, when you look at the whole full list, especially when you take into consideration the fats and just everything, the fiber down on that end, you will see dark green leafy vegetables in most of those columns. Now, so whether you remember whether or not you get vitamin A or the minerals calcium from it, doesn't matter. You just know that dark leafy greens are really in a lot of those columns. I need to make sure that I have me plenty of greens as often and as much as possible. We start with the greens. Now, here's the thing. I'm putting this together so you can see it. This is a relatively small amount for me because I only need it for about 2 to 3 days. But I'm going to be eating very large bowls of it for today, this evening, and tomorrow. But for those of you who have large families or you live by yourself and you only want to do this once or twice a week, my suggestion would be is to take all of you can either do it just like this, where you chop up everything and you put them in individual containers and cover them. And then every day that you want to have your salad is like going to a salad bar. And so you take a handful of salad greens and put them in your personal bowl. You take a handful of salad greens and then you go and you put some onions, you put just like you were at a salad bar, but you're not at a salad bar, and you're at a better than a salad bar. Because when you go to a salad bar, when you see corn, it's probably come out of a can. When you see the other things, they probably have used regular iodized salt as preservatives. Be very careful when you go to some of the salad bars. And the salad bars are going to have chopped up eggs and a bunch of shredded cheese and stuff like that you don't want either. You just probably have tomatoes that aren't organic. You want to pay for organic tomatoes. Organic tomatoes, apples, they're, the dirty dozen. You want to make sure that you're getting those organic. That's something that you can do. That's one option. But if you have a family of 3 or 4 and you're going to go through a big, huge bowl like this in a day or 2 or a setting or 2, then it's okay to just go ahead and put your greens in there. And the reason I say that is because obviously they're going to wilt a little bit. And you don't want to eat wilted vegetables if you don't have to. Also, if you've got one of the little swirl things so that when you do wet your greens to try to rinse them just a tad bit, then you can dry that out. But it's all good. This is not going to last the around. I start out with mixed greens because they're dark leafy greens. And so dark leafy greens are good for a whole bunch of minerals and vitamins, but we always look at greens as what? A green colored food. And green colored foods do what? That's right, they clean the blood. We're starting out with some cleaning blood agent here. And so we start with the regular mixed greens, and then I want to add a little bit more calcium, a little bit more iron. I am going to add some spinach, and figure out how to get this open. This, I just mixed in together. There we have it. So that's your base. Now, the trick to doing a salad is that you have your light, heavy greens because you want that to be your base. But then you want to be careful how you begin to top your salad. I always say you can look at it kind of like a lasagna. I'm going to dry out these greens now that I'm thinking about it. I want it to be preserved as long as possible. I'm just going to dry it. I think I put a little bit too much water. Just take a paper towel and dry it if you don't have, like I said, one of the little, I forget what they call them, but you put the salad in, it twirls around, and extracts the water. Now what we want to do is take our heavier seasonings or heavier ingredients. Let's see here. Move some of this over to the side so that you can see how easy we can do this, because I'm always just baffled when people say, I want the salad that you do, and I have the videos of the salad. They're like, oh, but I can't do it like you do it. I'm sorry. I mean to mock anyway. Now we top it with one of the heavier items, which are red onions. Why do we use red onions? Because red onions are like the sister. You have apples and pears. Both of them are extremely high in fiber. Both of them have pectin. You have oranges and lemons and grapefruits. They all have lots of natural citric acid in it. And so now you have red onions who are like garlic. So they're like sisters and brothers to garlic, twins. And so why do we use onions and garlic in food? Because of the high sulfur content, primarily anisin, which gives you good sulfur for the body, which helps to balance out the cellular level. I'm saving some of these because I'm going to put them in something else later. We have red onions, and then we go with another heavy item, and that's going to be our mixed seeds. You always want to put sunflower and pumpkin seeds. So what color are sunflower and pumpkin seeds? We love to do this. You guys probably already know by now. Sunflower seeds come from the sunflower, so that would be a yellow food, and yellow foods do what? They're natural laxatives. This obviously has some good fiber and potassium content to it. They're mixed in with pumpkin seeds. Now that we've done the trick for the sunflower seeds, you probably know what color food the pumpkin seeds are, and they're not green. They come from the orange pumpkin, so they're considered an orange food. And orange foods, like our orange peppers here, are what we have for the skin condition. Our orange peppers as well as our carrots. And they give you a considerable amount of beta carotene. And that's why when you're having a multiplicity of colors on a daily basis, which is what you should always strive to do, you want to make sure you have twice as much of the orange colored foods, because of the fact that you want to get the beta carotene. It's a little harder to get as much in terms of volume from that than you get, say, the yellow potassium from the corn. Okay. Now while we're here, we have some cranberries, dried cranberries. You want to put these on the bottom. Why? Because they're dried cranberries. And so dried cranberries are like what? They're like the nuts that we've talked about. They come from a shell, and anything that's dry goes slightly into a state of dehydration. So to rehydrate it, to bring it back to life, typically what you would do is you would put your raisins in a small amount of water. And also, to get more of the nutrients from dried raisins, you always kind of want to slice them with a knife, and that's going to activate some of that. What we're going to do to kill two birds with one stone is that we put the dried cranberries, and we're going to put some dried raisins in here in a second. We put them on the bottom. And so when they're on the bottom and they're rubbing shoulders with the pumpkin and sunflower seeds, they're going to get that slight little thing that you would do with a knife. And basically all you're doing is breaking the shell, the cellulose level of it. It's just like the seeds, the chia seeds and the flax seeds. You have to break through that shell in order to actually get to the nutrient base. We do that, and then we're going to go back and do the same thing for the raisins. And because we're putting it on the bottom of the salad, one of the reasons that we eat lots of fresh fruits and vegetables is because of the natural amount of water content that's in it. And so when you're doing that, you have a higher water content of food, which allows you sometimes to decrease the amount of fluids that you have. But being under these wet peppers, this wet raw corn, the wet herbs, the wet tomatoes, the wet celery, and they're going to get the moisture that they need to become rehydrated. That does make sense, especially after sitting here for a day or two. Then we start with there. Then we want to do just that. We want to add our peppers. We use a variety of colors: yellow peppers, green peppers, and red peppers. Yellow peppers have the potassium, they have fiber, they're going to be good for natural laxative qualities. The red peppers, red foods are arterial stimulants, they move the blood. Green foods clean the blood, red foods move the blood. And peppers, you want to keep the little seeds in there. Some people scrape the seeds out of the middle. The seeds have a lot of medicinal properties associated with it. A variety of colored peppers does the 3 characteristics that I just talked about, but in addition to that, you get a ton of your vitamins, vitamin A and C. You get a lot of the naturally occurring citric acid. All of these are great for cleaning the system. And then we add our main 3. I tell people on a daily basis, you should always try to have celery and carrots, and then just throw the beets in for good measure. Why the celery and the carrots? Because we live and die at the cellular level. And what makes us sick, what gives us disease, when there's an imbalance in those cells. What makes the cells imbalanced? You have the cell, and so you want to balance the cells. So you have water and fluid on the inside of the cell, you have water and fluid on the outside of the cells. You want to try and keep that in balance. The water inside of the cell is called intracellular fluid. Intracellular fluid predominantly is characterized by potassium. The best natural source of potassium, organically speaking, not the growing process, but organically, meaning that it is filled with hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen, would be carrots. And so we use carrots to protect the intracellular fluid and to help keep our cells in a state of balance internally. Now, outside of the cell, you have the same thing. You have water and fluid, which we call extracellular fluid. Extracellular fluid predominantly is characterized by sodium, the natural organic sodium source that is recommended for the highest quality, having that hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen in it, comes from celery. It's one of the best things that you could have when the body is not well is carrot and celery juice, because that is going to go directly to your potassium and sodium levels, which control your cellular levels. When you're usually in the hospital and they don't know what's going on with you and they have to give you an IV, if you look on the IV bag, typically you're going to see sodium, potassium, magnesium, iodine. These are the main minerals that keep the body well. I always tell people, I was telling someone the other day, where people love to start telling you their problems when they find out, what you do. Oh, I went and Googled you. So anyway, you tell people that's where you start, because typically most illnesses and diseases are a direct result of some type of mineral deficiency. It could be an excessive amount of minerals, but that's usually not the case. Typically, it's a mineral deficiency. And so one of the best places to start would be with your sodium and potassium levels. And that is a best way. When your blood pressure is high and you want that diastolic number to come down 5 or 10 points in 5 or 10 minutes, then go drink you some carrot juice. It's amazing. And so that's what we get from the celery. And then we do beets. Beets, why? Because beets are what we call a kidney organ food. Beets are what strengthens the kidneys. Your kidneys are huge in terms of what? That's why you have 2, because they're filtering your blood on a regular basis. We're going to use all of this. I'm making something else this evening, so I want to have a little bit of everything to put into it. So we do that. Burgundy foods, good for the kidneys. Beets, definitely, always something. Anybody have dialysis, diabetic, any problems like that, you want to be doing some beet juice when you can. Then we're going to add the carrots. If you're ever going to do salad, you always want carrots, beets, celery, and corn. That's my 4 favorites. And then, even if I don't have the mixed greens, the carrots, the beets, the celery, and the corns, that's good for me. And notice here too, for those of you who are not like totally here, you can go to the store and get you some pita bread or that laffa bread or naan bread, and then you can take all of these toppings and some vegan shredded cheese, some Daiya or the other Vega Life, and put it on your little naan bread, and then you can take your little same salad toppings and put them on there and have you a nice little veggie pizza that's extremely healthy and better for you, that you're going to love because it's got such great stuff in it. I'm moving kind of slow. So then we want to add some other stuff. We have tomatoes. Some of you feel a little funny about tomatoes. I love tomatoes. Tomatoes are great for you. They are a red food. They will help to move the blood. They have great vitamin A, and if you go across the chart, you'll see tomatoes in a couple of areas. What I do is I take cherry tomatoes and either slice them in half or quarter them, and then I take chopped pieces of fresh garlic. You want to use fresh garlic just like the red onions, because nothing can survive in an atmosphere with garlic. We take our chopped garlic not minced. I chop mine because I think it's important to eat big chunks of garlic on a daily basis. And then I take and put Italian seasonings in and just let it saute or marinate, so to speak, with the tomatoes and the fresh garlic. And then I put a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. So now you just kind of douse this through the salad. And if you were here, you could smell. Now it smells like Italian pizza. And then we're quick here. I love Kalamata olives. They're my favorite. You can use the regular California Ripe. You can use whatever you want, but you want some olives in there. That just gives it nice flavor. And then you have your fresh cilantro. Cilantro is green. It's definitely going to clean the blood, but the medicinal properties from fresh cilantro, parsley, thyme, any of your herbs, it's just amazing what it does. Just smelling it probably. And that's the other thing. If you're not feeling well, it's a really cool day here today. Got a little chills, a little sniffles, being out a little too long. You come in and you put your salad together and voila, you're already going to feel better because of all of the medicinal properties associated with the foods that you're eating. So quickly moving along here. This is the base of our salad. This is the most important thing. It's the seaweed. Now, seaweed is not even, I don't even know if it's up there, but seaweed gives you a ton of everything. I tell people you want your hair, your skin, your nails to be strong, your hair to be long, your skin to be wrong. You put some dried seaweed into a container and just fill it with some distilled or some filtered water, and then it's going to fluff up like this where it kind of looks like collard greens, and you definitely sprinkle that on your salad. Now typically I would put it on my individual servings, but I'm just not thinking straight. So I put that in, and that is going to be what you call your super food booster there. And then this becomes your basic salad. Then you just kind of mix your stuff up. See, isn't that, I mean, just when you look at the colors, you just feel happy. You just feel happy, and it just makes it beautiful, and it makes you want to eat it. It makes your friends want to eat it. It's a great way to just start getting people healthy that wouldn't ordinarily want to be healthy or wouldn't think about being healthy. It's just amazing what a nice, colorful salad will do. I don't know where my bowl is. I found the bowl. You have your basic salad here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these into Tupperware containers, glass containers, whatever containers you have, Ziploc bags, and you can divide it into large or small salad servings, and that is going to be the bulk of what you need to get served. Then they'll have all of that, and you eat the raw salad before your cooked meal, and it's going to help to digest the cooked food better. You know what I mean? All right, so that's our salad. I said this for me will probably be good to get me through Saturday, maybe 3 good days. And then that way, even if you don't know what you're going to eat, you don't feel like eating, you can have salad 2 or 3 times a day. This becomes my base on a regular whatever. And you can do it or not. But I don't like my avocados to sit in my salad. Take an avocado. Avocado's what color? Green. It has an excellent amount of good natural fat in it. So just take your avocado. I try to eat an avocado a day. The fat that's in avocado is excellent. Excellent for the heart. The oils are good for your skin. It's just vitamins. You take your avocado and just slice that up on top of your salad. And depending on what type of tomatoes you have, those tomatoes were a little on the unripe side for me. They weren't as soft. It's summertime, so it's not like you can grab them from the garden and they're just like perfect. You buy them from the store, they always have some issue. I usually will put my avocado on top. I usually don't put a lot of tomatoes, but that's a relatively small salad. On a larger salad, I won't put my tomatoes in there. I'll put my tomatoes on top of my avocado after I've sliced it, and then I'll put some additional seaweed on there. And then I put raw honey. This is my friends that came from their bee thing. Live video. And, oh, so we're gonna try to open that, and then you'll take a little more olive oil on top. I usually have a combination of herbs, which I don't. So I'm going to show you how to put that together so that you always have that as well. Then for a small salad like this, I'll probably use a good tablespoon of raw honey. That's just me personally. I know some of you are not into honey, you don't have to do that. Let me just show you how I would do seasoning mix. I have some paprika, so I need a new jar. I usually have a 12 ounce container. So I put quite a bit of paprika, quite a bit of cumin, and then again, this is up to you. These are just some of the staple ones I use. I don't have any turmeric. I'm putting a little more Italian seasonings in here, even though I usually put that in with the tomatoes. I definitely put quite a bit of nutritional yeast, probably more nutritional yeast as a base than anything else. A little curry powder. If you had turmeric, you definitely want to use turmeric for the nutritional value, medicinal value. I have my Chinese blend of cinnamon, allspice, and nutmeg. I'll put a little in there. The only thing I didn't put on the salad are my nuts. They're in the pantry. So I take walnuts and I'll put a little bit of ground ginger in, not as much ground ginger. So you'll take your walnuts and pecans and put them into a bowl. You'll add something like the Chinese 5-spice, cumin, allspice, cinnamon, and nutmeg, and sprinkle that over the nuts. Add a couple of tablespoons of raw honey, maybe a tablespoon of maple syrup, and just let that sit in a container. And then when you have your salad, you'll put those on top, and then that creates a nice little base. That's my seasoned blend. Just kind of put all those spices together, you mix them up. Spices they're like natural, the fresh herbs, the cilantro, parsley, thyme, or whatever you want to use. Things like turmeric, paprika, Italian seasonings, the medicinal properties associated with them are huge. And not only that, they give you seasoning and the nutritional yeast, just for its namesake, as I said in my video yesterday. You get all of the extra nutrients, so you're getting yourself some extra fiber and protein just from using your seasoning blend. And that's it. You might want to add a little more oil or not, with the texture and the wetness of all of the chopped vegetables that are in there. You don't really need anything else. And it's just amazing. It's just a big salad. Did you know that salad is spelled backwards? It's salad with an extra L for lovely greens.